also gave the police the ability to do the job. That's what Ben Shapiro. Yep, but not just that, just actually doing their jobs. Ben Shapiro, Milo, yesterday, today, right? They're enforcing the law, no Antifa. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, we'll see what happens.
Just one final question. Why are you interested in the university? I mean, do you feel like they're pushing some kind of agenda? Or
yeah, no, I do believe a lot of universities are pushing a political agenda. And so that's why, and this is the youth. You know, these are the guys who are going to run our country soon. So this is really important to me. And I've had a lot of students come up and thank me because there's a lot of conservatives in this area that are afraid to say that they're conservatives. You understand that? So many people come up and shake, yesterday, several students came up, shook my hand and said, Joey, thank you for coming in here because I have to hide who I am. Joey, you get to come in here, you can speak out for whatever you want, and it's almost like I'm speaking for some of these people. And a lot of these students come in here because it is a good school, right? But there's so much of a political agenda that a lot of them have to keep their mouths shut for fear of violence, for fear of doxing, for fear of, just being harassed, So,
thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
What do you think about this?
Free speech at its finest. So beautiful. I love it. These guys are up here saying, they want to destroy this country, whatever. Use your words. That's fine. Don't use your fists. That's all I care about. I'm actually really happy right now. We have all these people with different beliefs. I mean, look, you got these two guys here having a great conversation, and that's what it's all about. Berkeley's had a history. I got my ass beat pretty badly last time I was down here, just for being me. But now I can stand here in the middle of this campus and no one's insulting me. No one's insulting anybody. So.
What happened yesterday with Yvette Falarca?
No, Christmas came early. So basically, we went watching down there and she was in our faces. She was aggressive. She was being, hurt by any means necessary. And she got in Kyle Chapman's face. Kyle put his hands up and she started assaulting him. And the police just barged in there, pulled her out, threw her to the ground, arrested her. And it was so beautiful. It was so amazing to see her get arrested. We'll see if they bail her out or not. But I'm extremely excited, man. She's not a good person.
Yeah, it's so shocking that she's a middle school teacher and Berkeley has yet to suspend her. They've yet to punish her at all and she's already wanted for inciting a riot, and now this assaulting a peaceful demonstrator.
Yeah. Kyle Chapman with his hands up. It was a beautiful thing. But I think that she literally goes around and she went on Tucker Carlson and other things. She literally justified using violence. She's justifying that. So what do you think she's telling her students? You know what I mean? She's not telling her students about peace or love. No, she's saying, hey, if you disagree with someone, you need to beat them up. That's her ideology. And so that's what concerns me. And Berkeley and some of these other areas, we literally have teachers who believe that violence is okay.
And that violence is the answer.
Yes, she believes violence is the answer. Unfortunately, violence is what's going to bring her down. Her breaking the law, all that stuff. She's going to come crashing down by any means necessary. Antifa, all of them, they're done in this area. It's going to happen soon, and I'm extremely excited, especially with the funding.
Thank you very much, Joey.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
So, one of the things, as a continuation of our conversation yesterday, is I hear you guys a lot of times saying that it's always violence, by the left to the right.
No, I'm not saying that.
I think, I've heard a lot of the guys out here saying that. You would disagree somehow?
Well, Antifa is extremely violent. Okay? Now, in reality, Antifa isn't really part of the left. They don't care about the left. It's just they've cozied up with the left. Antifa, anarchists, all these people, they don't really care about liberals. They're just working with them. Okay, so I don't believe the most of the left are not violent. The most of the left believe in free speech, believe freedom, but they're being quiet while the extreme left, social justice warriors, Antifa, all these people are being the loudest.
Would you agree that it was the year of violence by right-wingers, Trumpers at the rally, soon to the left-wingers, that is the rise to the new Antifa?
I don't know about that theory. I know Antifa's been around for a long time.
Since 1941. That's why I said the new Antifa.
Yeah. I don't know. I think Trump is part of the reason why there's a rise for that. But I'll tell you this much too. So this freedom movement that we have going on right now, some of it's legitimate, some of it's fake, like Spencer and all that stuff. But this movement people are coming out to the streets, and that's what's bringing Antifa out to the streets too. Antifa's been around for a long time. They just been doing it behind closed doors, doxing people, threatening people, all that stuff. Okay, they've been around for a long time. It's just we haven't seen them on the streets rioting because now we have people with different point of views coming out on the streets. I mean, you didn't see that before Trump was in, right? All the streets were owned by the left. You know what I mean?
I don't, but
well, tell me one movement that's been, because I'm not a right winger.
All right,
but
so
I have a lot of right wingers.
So I went to over 200 rallies during the course of the 2016 election. I only came to California once during that time, just because I'm
but
an
what
East.
about before that? It's before the election, is what I'm saying. There was, besides the Tea Party, there was no movement on the streets.
Sure, there was Occupy.
No, but that's not. But that's on the left.
Oh, I see.
The left is owning the streets, is what I'm trying to say. That's it. That's.
Okay, so what is your theory based on that? Just because
So that's why you're seeing more Antifa now. You're seeing Antifa grow because you have more of a movement on the streets of people who they believe are on the right. The right to them is a bunch of racist Nazis, so they need to go out in the streets and get them off the streets and scare them.
I guess I would just argue that from my experience going to a lot of these rallies, most of the people that I talked to didn't even pay attention to the New Hampshire primaries. I was at the primaries for 10 months before anyone even started paying attention. Donald Trump's goons had me thrown over a table. I've been roughed up multiple times for being a journalist, raising my hand. Donald Trump would literally have you beat up and arrested for being a journalist. And this was what was going on at the primaries. So then that extended out into all the other rallies. They obviously knew who I was at a certain point, and I just couldn't get in. But I did see stuff from the periphery. For instance, Fayetteville was organized by legitimate neo-Nazis. They were shown on PBS. I reported that before PBS. I mean, PBS didn't even know, quite honestly. And so there was a guy in the cowboy hat who punched out the black dude there. Matthew Heimbach of the National Socialist Party, or the Traditionalist Workers Movement. He found guilty of beating up the black. I'm just saying it goes on and on.
That it's the extremists. Extremists that are causing all the violence.
But isn't Antifa? I mean, you're saying that
extremists on both sides.
Okay, so
I'm not trying to attack one side. I'm trying to attack the extremists on both sides. I'm trying to bring moderates together. Is what I'm trying to do.
Okay. I guess maybe since we're just trying to have a discussion, I'm not trying to call you out or anything.
No, I'm explaining to you. The problem is the extremists.
Okay.
That's the problem.
Your questions.
Like, you're not an extremist. That's why you are willing to sit down, you're willing to have a conversation, and you're not falling for the labels and all that stuff. You're just a free thinker. Okay? Now these extremists, they aren't free thinkers. They're being brainwashed. They're being, they're being led to believe that they need to use violence in order to further their cause. Unfortunately, that doesn't work. Unless you're in an all-out war, that's a whole different thing.
Right.
That's not where we're at right now.
Well, I mean, even Kyle was describing it like a war yesterday, right?
He is going through a process right now, learning and growing. For him, he did. In the beginning, it was like, you gotta think about how he came to prominence, right? Self-defense, beating up a bunch of Antifa members. He was like, we're gonna have to go to war with these guys. That's what he was thinking. He's starting to understand though now it's about winning hearts and minds and helping the country understand that Antifa and the communists or even an extreme right is not what's good for this country. Neither. It's in the middle. That's the only way to go forward. And that's how you bring people in, right? But the far right, like for example, it's ridiculous that conservatives are against gay marriage. Like, they're supposed to be for freedom, right? Supposedly. They're going to be against gay marriage. And then like this drug war, on the far right, we're going to throw all these black men in jail, for smoking crack, but then let people who use cocaine, off in a lighter sentence. Like, that's not cool. You know what I mean? So it's not far right, it's not far left. It's in the middle. It's going back and forth.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't want to monopolize all your time, but
Joey, I went home and I did my due diligence.
Awesome.
Okay. Kyle, I'm sorry. He's scary. If you haven't watched Kyle, look at that speech he gave in Sacramento if you haven't already.
Okay, 7/8/17.
Yeah, there's the link to it. It's on Will's site. And I'd be glad to communicate with you. Pam has word messaging.
Okay.
So,
cool.
But do you know Dorothy Gates?
No.
Look her up. She's an example of. No, she's long dead, but she was an example of how someone's Christianity led them to do really great things.
How Christianity did?
Yeah, because I know you're Christian and you refer to that in your work. But I think maybe she'd be an inspiration for you.
Okay, Dorothy Day.
I hope that's the direction you're heading in terms of
I'll take a look.
rather than the hell-shaking street preachers and all that.
Oh, I'm not going anywhere near them. They can march with me and stuff, but what they preach isn't what Jesus did. Right? That's not what Jesus walked with open arms and love. He would sit down with anybody, prostitutes, tax collectors, all of them. And they had a class system at that time too, and it was looked down upon for Jews to sit, to associate with certain people that were supposed to be below them. But he would be with anyone, anytime, and that's what I believe. And the whole thing with like hating on homosexuals, like it's kind of sad because how many people have been chased away from the church? How many gays have been chased away from the church because they weren't loved? You know what I mean? And so that's why I don't care about sexuality. I don't care. I think that's between the individual and God. It's not my business.
Do you know who Archbishop Romero was?
No.
He was a leader of the liberation theology movement fighting for freedom in Central America. He was killed by death squads. But when you guys, or not you, I'm sorry, when I hear people talking about illegal immigration, a good friend of mine was a student of Romero's, fled the death squads, but came in here illegally. And there's this broad brush about
I know the solution to that, though.
What's that?
We streamline legal immigration. They're purposely making it hard to come in legally, so you come in illegally. Then that way, the corporations can pay you $4 an hour instead of minimum wage. That's all we have to do.
Sorry, one question, Joey. This is for Rob Lee.
For who?
Rob Lee belongs to Russia today. Why are you guys out here today? Why were you here yesterday? And why are you here again?
We're coming to celebrate America and the right for free speech. If you look at this beautiful picture, we have all these people around here with different point of views, just talking, and no one using violence. So that's why we're here.
Okay. Is there any difference yesterday and today from previous?
All right, so I'm going to give Joey a break here. I've seen some of the comments there, and I appreciate that everyone wants me to call everyone out. But the problem is, let me turn this thing. If I'm spending all my time calling out all of these people, as much as I'd like to call them out on every single issue, you don't get them talking, and so I'm doing the best to get people talking. There'll be more opportunities to talk to all of them at length. Obviously, that's what I've been doing. I've been here for 4 days. Had I called Kyle Chapman out, but back in Washington, he wouldn't allow me to talk to him or trail him around yesterday. So bear with me on that one. I do realize he did 2 prison stretches, one in the 90s and one in the 2000s, for robbery. He's out on $135,000 bond for beating up protesters. So I get all of these points, but you have to understand that I've had a lot of trouble getting people to speak when I'm blunt with them. I get shut right down. So you have to understand the rationale for the way that I'm doing things is that I'm just trying to get people to talk. I can't be too hard-lined with them right now. I wish I could be. I understand how you feel. Just try to bear with me. Keep your questions coming, and hopefully I'll be able to gently sneak them in there. All right? Let's see if I can...
Selectively targeted the people standing up against fascism. And they have the nerve to talk about free speech. These people, Ann Coulter, Milo Yiannopoulos, Steve Bannon, all these fascists around here, and especially Donald Trump, and Jeff Sessions, have no right to talk about free speech. Well, they are taking away democratic rights from women, from
I hear you, Jed. I'm trying to split it and do half and half.
From immigrants. Well, they are spying on Muslims, and banning Muslims, and banning transgender people. The Trump regime is the enemy.
It's the enemy
Of free speech. It's the enemy of humanity. It's the enemy of the precious ecosystem of our planet.